welcome to Silicon Slope's series on models for the future workplace. We are joined today by Colin Crotty, the CEO of Hyperquake. Super cool new company we're going to learn about that is making big waves, has made big waves for many years, 2 decades now, and is coming into Utah, and we're really excited about that. My name is Arian Lewis. I'm the CEO of Kiln. Kiln is a flex office and co-working company that focuses on creating the optimal lifestyle and performance for tech companies here in Utah. We've got about 250 tech companies that are based with us in either Lehigh, Salt Lake, or up in Park City now at our locations for our flex office locations. So we're excited to talk about this topic. This is a really kind of very relevant topic. Everybody right now is trying to figure out how they modify their strategy, their workplace strategy to sort of work in a post-pandemic world, or hopefully a post-pandemic world here soon. That said, Colin, tell us about who you are and what Hyperquake is.
Well, who am I? So I think what I do really well is organize and bring together great people. For me, my title doesn't mean as much as the responsibility I have to protect the folks that make our business really special and unique. Hyperquake
and how many folks is that?
Well, outside of Hyperquake, we have a couple adjacent companies. We're just over 55 people.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
Cool.
So we've been doing this since 1986. My background is not in the agency space. And like most folks that sort of live in our world right now, we're trying to break away from the whole traditional agency narrative. So we've worked real hard over the last, I'd say, decade to sort of reframe the conversation that people are having about professional firms like Hyperquake, specifically agencies.
And you'd call yourself a design and branding agency?
Yeah, for all practical purposes, yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. All right, so if you're out there trying to figure out what amazing brand you're going to build next, this is the company to connect with to help you
I would like
fulfill
to think
that
so,
vision.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, keep going.
Sure. So been doing it since 1986. So I stumbled into the business. I had absolutely zero experience in the agency world. I'm an ex-industrial launderer.
So you're the CEO with zero experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
Perfect.
I never grew up wanting to be a CEO of anything. All I wanted to do was have fun.
Most CEOs don't have any experience.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's kind of true, actually.
Okay, all right. Well, I definitely check that box, that's for sure.
Good.
So I check that box, and I would say that everybody that works for us would also say that he checks that box. So we've been, I sort of stumbled into that role after we acquired the firm. My partner, Dan Barzak, who's our chief creative officer, and I acquired the firm from the Bruce family and around 2013, 2014, and since then we've made a couple acquisitions, and we've tried to really focus on diversifying our growth, which ultimately led us out here to Salt Lake.
Got it. And you guys kind of got your start by creating the first e-commerce website or website in general for Bed Bath & Beyond, is that right?
Yeah, so as the story goes, we were basically brought in to help Bath & Body Works, not Bed Bath & Beyond,
sorry.
That's okay. I may have
Bath
said
& Body
that.
Works.
Bath & Body Works, and the whole idea and the concept was, hey, we have great products and we're trying to sell those at a retail level in malls. Those were a thing back in the late 90s and early 2000s. There were these things called malls. And their whole challenge was, how do we really differentiate ourselves? And so our push at that time was really connecting our clients with the world today, which is who work and strategy work. And so really what happened was we realized to give them a distinct competitive advantage, maybe they should focus on scent. And so that was our big push.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, so we have you to blame for all of those fun scents that have come out.
My predecessor. So I will say that
I'm
predates
impressed.
me. So I will say my predecessors and my ex-business partner,
I have to
Steve
say
Bruce,
the vanilla one is
it's fabulous.
It's really good.
Yeah, and my daughters, 13 and 11, still love to go into that store. So you can still find them, which is good.
So amazing. So product as well as brand and design.
Absolutely.
Now, before I go on, I should mention that we are sponsored today by R0. This conversation is being made possible by this amazing company that's making the workplace safe for those of us that want to make sure we're in a really sterile environment. I keep asking what the name of this. I know the technical name, but I feel like it should be like George or, Laura or something. I feel like this robot needs a name, but this thing can go around your office and clean it right up, kill all those nasty little COVID cells, and make it a really wonderful and safe environment for people who work in, including this little guy right here, which we have at Kiln Park City. We have one of these in our main meeting rooms, and it recirculates the air. It does amazing things to keep your environment safe, clean, and healthy. So check out r0.com. Yep. Let's talk about the models of the future workplace. What is the model that your company is going to employ going forward for how you deal with workplace?
Well, pre-COVID, we were asking ourselves that question. I think as you sort of stare down the next generation of leadership and trying to really emulate what some of our best clients do and how they act and behave, we've been asking ourselves this question for quite some time. And so for us to be flexible and adaptable has just been huge. I mean, to compete in our space today, I don't know if I'd say it's difficult. I would say it's offered up unique challenges that we didn't see 10 years prior. So for us, I felt like we were really prepared. We were one of the first organizations and companies in Cincinnati to really just sort of shut it down. And it was easy for us. We've been, for all practical purposes, we have clients in Dubai and clients in the Netherlands and all over the world. So for us,
Utah.
in Utah, of course. So we've been operating with this virtual headset. So for us to sort of turn it on and go virtual first wasn't that difficult, especially a big part of our business is what we do in building experiences.
Okay.
So for us, it was a little bit of a shock to the system because we were virtual, but half of our business is story building, which is bringing brand to life in space. I'll tell you what, in complete honesty, it's a tough question to ask. I think the question we're really trying to ask...
You're unsure about what the future looks like.
I'm unsure. What I am sure of are the people that lead our organization are going to get it completely. It's going to be a home run when we figure this out. But I'm pretty confident that they'll do that. But I think the guidance I've been providing them is like, look, let's apply what we've learned over the last 12 months. Let's really continue to put our clients at the center and see how their behaviors are going to continue to evolve, because then I think we have to match that. Typically being brought in to basically help connect our customers with the world today and tomorrow, we have to have a position. And I would say our position is this. We're not asking ourselves what the new normal is. We're asking ourselves what safety and flexibility is. And so for us, we sort of put safety at the top of that pyramid, and we're trying to understand what that means for our people. Because what we do is we sell time and we sell execution against that time. And so for us, we can operate in very disparate places and we're fine. But I'll tell you, like just before COVID, nostalgia was sort of this thing that was coming back. The art of customer service was on its way back, picking up the phone, having a conversation with somebody.
Nobody wants to talk to a robot.
Nobody.
No offense to
no
robots.
offense to Arian Jr., but yeah, it's sort of been our thing, right? Yeah. We've really focused on that. So I have to tell you, 2008 to 2010 and the financial crisis was tough.
Yeah.
And so we call those black swan events, right? And I've had to live through probably 2 or 3 of these since we basically acquired Hyperquake, and I would say this one is entirely different. There is no silver bullet. I do not have a crystal ball, but I do know that our ability to remain flexible on behalf of our clients is crucial. What we're looking at right now, we were already working remote on Fridays, which ended up being sort of Thursdays as well.
Got it.
So for us, I think as long as we continue to put safety first, we're going to be in a good spot. But I do believe we're forever changed. I do not think for 1 minute that when people say, well, they don't like the whole idea of a new normal. No, there's a new normal. There is definitely a new normal. And so we have to focus on the most important thing, which is safety. And so as we've gone through that, we're asking ourselves tougher questions.
Okay, Colin, just get really granular with us for a sec. 50 employees, how many of them do you think will come back to the office, will use an office in some form or fashion at all?
I would say a little greater than half.
Okay, so about half.
Yep.
And of those, why will they go to the office? What is it that will necessitate, or why will they go to an office?
Well, I think our process will demand part of that. I think in terms of our collaboration approach and strategically how we serve our clients, I think we're better in person than we are virtually.
Okay, so that's interesting. So you're saying there's certain kinds of work that you do in the business that it's done more effectively when you're in person. Is that the more creative side of the business? Is it the more like you're like storyboarding, or just describe to us what that is?
I would say we have three primary functions, which is client leadership, strategy, and design. And I would say we're at our best when all three are represented at a table together. I will say ultimately, though, the creative collaboration process in person continues to prove out to be better. We've adopted some new technologies to do it virtually, but our people are saying we need to get together, and that's where I see that happening.
Interesting. So they've been saying that we need to get together. Do you think there's something more than just the functional nature of what they need to accomplish?
I think it's personal. I think the human interaction is, that's where you really learn. I think there is a lot of self-reflection when you're working with your peers and you have the ability to connect face to face. There's for what we do, we're good at what we do. We're not as good virtually.
Yeah.
And so I think our ability to critically problem solve with our peers on behalf of our clients in person and in real time is just a more effective way of doing business.
So let's get hypothetical with your company for just a sec. Let's pretend that you take the next 2 years and you remain purely virtual. Purely virtual. You do not come in the office. You do not see each other in person. You're going to continue virtual. Or you maybe see each other like very rarely. What do you think the impact to your organization would be in that case?
That's a tough one to answer. Can we do it? Yes. Do we want to do it? No. I think, like I opened with, I think our clients are going to dictate a lot of that. I think we can do it. I think we'll offer up unique challenges that maybe we haven't seen before. I know that on the client side of our business, we're seeing, and folks that aren't even our clients, they're pretty aggressive in terms of their positioning that we're going to be virtual first for forever. I don't necessarily believe that to be the case. I certainly hope that's not the case, because I think humans need other humans. But if we had to do that for 2 more years, we're fully equipped to do that.
The technology's there for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, your business sounds to me like it's a people-driven business. It's obviously a creative business. You're constantly changing. I'm assuming you're moving to different projects.
Absolutely.
Not like you've built one software platform and then you're just incrementally improving it and continuing to service customers.
That's right.
Right. So I think that your kind of business, it seems to me intuitively that would be more of a natural fit with needing to come in, needing to be in person. But you're also expanding. So Colin, little plug for Kiln. Colin just took up a great new home at Kiln, Park City. Yes. And why did you do that? What is that? You're now coming west. You have a lot of clients here in the west. Mm-hmm. You're putting down roots here in Utah. Why? How does that fold into your workplace strategy?
And this might help to answer some of the previous question you had. Our job is to meet our clients where they are. We want to be easy to work with. And again, what we're seeing is more of our clients are coming back online. With over 60% of our client book west of Colorado, Denver West, we felt for a lot of reasons that Park City, specifically Salt Lake, was a great spot for us. In terms of the growth, you're aware of that, I'm sure. Yeah. There's a lot of inbound activity with other large corporations and small. It's really becoming a hotbed, and I think a future platform for growth for a lot of progressive companies. And so for us, in order to best serve our clients, we feel like we need to be where that progression is. And we believe that's Salt Lake. And then there's the personal piece of it too. This is my second home, a lot of family here. And so, I think once we had a chance, we weren't real sure. I think once I had a chance to meet you and I got to spend time with the folks at Silicon Slopes, it really became apparent to me based on my other team members that were along for the ride that this was just a no-brainer. So I'd go back and say Salt Lake allows us to meet our clients where they are, and we just made the announcement last week, and we've had a lot of positive response. I will say that.
Very cool.
So we're very excited. Yeah.
Do you think that the flexibility of the way we've been working has opened up a lot more choice for your employees? Not that Cincinnati's not a great place, because I'm sure it's amazing, and he would agree as well.
Totally.
But there is some allure to Park City. Do you think that people are going to take advantage of this new flexible working style and want to relocate in your team?
I have to be careful how I answer that because my COO and my VPs are probably going to watch this. I do know.
Give us the dirty details.
I wasn't expecting that one. We have a lot of interest from our staff.
Interesting.
A lot of interest. And so really it becomes the balance of what is our remote work policy going to be versus we have a new office. So if we say, yes, you can move out here, does that mean the rest of the staff that have planted roots in Cincinnati can't work virtually, or do they have to come into the office? And so that's the balance. And I got to be honest, I don't know the answer to that yet because we have 5 or 6 folks that have risen their hand and say, hey, and they're in different life stages too. Most of those folks haven't started a family or they're single and they want to take this opportunity
to
continue to work for the company they love and be a part of it here. I mean, I would say look around, but we're in a studio right now. But I mean, you go outside these walls and outside this building, what an amazing place.
Gorgeous today, guys, out there. It's beautiful.
It is.
The mountains are capped in white and the sun is shining and the sky is blue. And Utah has a lot to offer. But this new flexible way of working also it opens up all sorts of other possibilities for more optionality for the way that employees can work. Is there anything else that you feel like has really been an aha moment for you in terms of how this pandemic is going to change your workplace strategy? Yes.
I think we have to shed traditional thinking. I think, the way I've looked at running the business has to change and evolve. The folks that we have on our team, and we're a very flat organization, they're navigating this path for me. I do not have the answers. I've heard a lot of my peers that carry the same title, smaller organizations and much larger, they say they have a plan. They've committed to be virtual and committed to be flexible, and all of a sudden we're seeing that change. Because why? The cost of running the business. And they have these physical facilities to fill. Look, I understand that.
I completely agree with you.
We've got a beautiful space in Cincinnati. It's first class.
Almost as beautiful as your space in Utah.
It's almost as beautiful as Kiln. Almost, but not quite. And I will say that. I took pictures and I posted them on Slack, and they're there for our folks to see. It's outstanding. And so I think that type of environment, and I will quote my chief business officer, Marty Kirsting, we walked out of the office, he goes, man, if we had Kiln in Cincinnati, we wouldn't have this office.
Oh,
I said,
you're
I know.
flattering us. Thank you so much.
And so, because we do need that adaptive workspace. And I think for us too, we bring in a lot of customers.
Yeah.
That to me is where it's still gray because we use our workspace for a collaborative work environment.
And you're going to bring them in, you're going to show them your brand, they're going to have that brand experience while they're in your space too. So I completely get that, and that makes a lot of sense. It is interesting though, how you mentioned how strategy has been pegged, or let's just say boxed, by real estate for a long time. And I have noticed that, I've seen companies here that have built, full buildings or, have locked themselves into like a 10-year commitment or a 5-year commitment. Even a 3-year commitment for some small stage tech companies their world can change in 6 months. So 3 years can be a long time. And what they end up doing is they end up feeling like, oh, our recruiting strategy, our HR strategy, all has to revolve around our physical real estate commitments. And this is, candidly, one of the great arguments for flexible office, co-working, whatever you want to call it, because the concept is just like having, online storage like, Amazon Web Services, whatever, you need to remain super flexible. And your strategy needs to evolve based on the way the market's evolving. And so talent-wise, which most companies are really driven by their talent, your talent should not be hired based on where your office is. It should be hired based on who's the very best talent to build your business, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's a huge shift, right?
Totally agree. And I think those leaders that can back up what they say and be highly adaptive to this new world order are going to be successful. And I think that old school mentality where you sit back and say, nope, that doesn't apply to us, good luck. It's innovate, imitate, or ignore. And if you ignore this, you're dead in the water. That's my belief.
It's interesting. I have a friend, I won't mention his name, but he's super cool. And he has been hired by Google to do something crazy amazing. But he's the kind of guy that he's like, look, I'm happy to work for you, Google, but these are the kind of my conditions. I still want to, have my home where I want it, and I want to enjoy some of the outdoor amenities that are around me, and et cetera, et cetera. And that's part and parcel with my joining Google, and Google's able to actually get the very, very, very best person in the world to do what they want them to do because they're willing to be super flexible. That's a really interesting competitive advantage, and it's one that I think is not super simple to figure out how to do, right? Because to a degree, you need an executive team that's together, that's collaborating, et cetera, right? But you don't want to be constrained by, I think what you're really communicating with your move to Utah is we're not a Cincinnati company. We're a US West company? Is that what you call yourself?
Yeah, I would say we're US West.
Yeah. And so we're going to go where the demand is, and we're going to address the market where it's ready to meet us.
And we have half of our clients want to meet with us in person.
Really?
And so they're saying
because it's a really it's a very important thing to a brand.
We need to get
their
together,
brand.
and we need our people,
For
and our
sure.
culture needs to our culture will shift and adapt to support that. And I think we're going to be 50-50. And I think the 50% that pledge their time towards the office at any given time, they may not be in the office. And I think it's really going to depend on where our clients need us to be, how we meet them where they're at, whether that's on site at their location, whether that's at a Hyperquake Kiln office, whether that's Hyperquake Cincinnati, whether that's our
Or on
office
the
in
ski
Portland,
slopes.
or the ski slope at the top of the list.
That's right.
I have no problem with that.
Okay, cool. Colin, this is an awesome conversation. We don't want to bleat on for too long.
Yep.
I just want to say, good execution. You are a karate kid. And I'm sure you've had that so
just
many
a few times. Now my kids get it.
your
Yeah.
whole life.
Yep.
But you were in the 1980s, right? So
yes.
It was super cool
yes.
back then. There's a remake now.
It was. There is a remake.
Yeah.
My kids have seen every show.
Yeah. So it's weird, though, because the same guy's in it. It's kind of weird. But
yeah.
at any rate.
It dates me.
Yeah, but look, Hyperquake's a really cool company, and
Thank you.
I think it's really a great thing that Utah's attracting, world-class talent. We're seeing, groups and brands that work for the biggest names out there coming here. If you're a hot Utah company, if you're working to develop the future of your brand or the design of your product, check out Hyperquake. Last thoughts, Colin. What do you want to end this on? Models of the future workplace. This is the prophetic moment. No pressure.
I'd say listen to your heart, because it's going to tell you what your head hasn't figured out yet. And I think if most leaders follow that mantra, we're going to be in a better place tomorrow than we are today. That's my take.
That's great. In a world of uncertainty, trust your intuition and press forward. Thank you very much. Thank you to our sponsors, R0. Thank you to Silicon Slopes.
Thank you.
And hope you enjoyed this session on models of the future workplace.